Hello, welcome to the Lone Show. I'm your host, John Malone. And for our regulars, it could be anyone, but it most likely be Asperegoose or Eric Taylor. But if not, it could be anyone else. It can be quite a mystery at this point. But our guest is from Atlanta, Georgia. She gives business owners the tools and processes to increase profit, build wealth, and give back. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Ruth King.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Anytime. So, how's life?
Life is great. I work with business owners, and when the light bulb goes on and they get everything, I really get a lot of satisfaction out of that. So I do a lot of work with business owners on the financial sides of their business. How about for you? How's life for you?
No, life is great as usual. Just chilling, doing this here and there, a lot of social media stuff, and yeah, life is going great as it should be.
Cool. Very good.
So tell me more about what you do.
Okay. I find that many business owners, when they start their businesses, the last thing they think about is the financial side of business. After all, we start our businesses to, help somebody, provide a service, provide a product, make the world a better place. And the last thing we think about is the financial side, because we don't think about it because that's not why we started our business. But if you don't pay attention to the financial side of business, that will put you out of business and can put you out of business. So what I do is I work with people and I help them understand what their financial statements are saying in English, not in accounting babble, and so that they can make sure that they're pricing right, they can take care of their customers properly, and they can grow their profitability and they can grow their wealth and basically achieve the goals that they want to achieve.
Okay, great. What got you thinking of doing this?
What got me thinking of doing this? Oh my gosh, I started about 35, almost 40 years ago. And I realized even back then that most business owners didn't understand financials, and financials came really, really easy to me. And I found I was really good at explaining them. So I started teaching classes about it. And I worked with the Small Business Administration here in the US, and we created the Women's Entrepreneurial Center, and I started training women every Saturday morning on how to start and grow a business. And that kind of seeded everything. And that was like 1983. So I've been around a really long time doing this.
Wow, incredible. So Eric Taylor just entered. So Eric, we're discussing about Ruth's job about helping businesses grow and using the tools and processes to increase profit and build wealth. Is there any questions in regards to that you want to ask Ruth?
No, not really.
Okay, cool. And in terms with the clients that you work with, what's the general kind of feedback that you give to your clients when providing finances to their business?
Well, the first thing we have to do is find out how much they're making for every billable or every revenue producing hour. So the percentages really and truly don't matter. So if somebody tells me they have a 10% net, that doesn't mean anything because you can't take the percentage to the bank. What does that percentage mean in terms of dollars? And if you take those dollars and divide by the total number of revenue producing hours or billable hours, that tells you how much you're dropping to the bottom line for every billable or revenue producing hours. And it's amazing when people start that most of the time it's, $3 or $4 an hour, which is even less in terms of pounds. So they get a huge wake up call because they're working their butts off and they don't understand why they're not, making the money they want to make. And if you just do this very simple calculation, you can find out, what you're really making. Percentages don't matter at all. So that's usually where we start. And then we go from there to be able to help them get where they want to go. So, if you look at a P&L or a balance sheet, you're looking at it from a perspective of, okay, I'm profitable or not. And you do need profit so that you can build wealth and cash. But profits are not cash. Profits are turned into cash when you actually collect for the work that you're doing. So a lot of people don't understand that. They could have $1 million in receivables, which happened to one of my clients. Well, he wasn't a client, but a colleague of a client. And he had 3 of his major customers literally filed bankruptcy the same day or the same week. And it put him out of business because he was holding the bag for $1 million in receivables, and he didn't have the cash at that point to pay his bills and his payroll. So he went out too, i.e. went out of business. But he was a very profitable business. So it's not only the profits, but it's building the cash too, which comes as a result of profit.
Okay. Oh, intriguing. Very intriguing. And generally, what kind of businesses that have you worked with? Like, what kind of niches do these businesses provide, and what services and goods they sell?
Okay, it is everything from retail to I have a colleague who uses this for law firms, and you can do it from a CPA. I do a lot of work with construction companies, heating, plumbing, air conditioning, those types of things. But this process and the books that I've written, The Courage to Be Profitable and Profit or Wealth, are applicable to any business that I consider a small business. I mean, once you hit, really big $1 billion businesses, you better have this or you wouldn't have grown to $1 billion.
Okay. Any questions, Eric?
Eric's awful quiet.
Yeah. So what other kind of advice do you provide for your clients when starting a business?
Okay, so here's some things that can actually help them, and there's a way to look and see whether your financial statements are wrong in less than a minute. Okay, and I'm going to go through them really quickly if I could. Number one is to make sure that your balance sheet balances your assets, balance your liabilities and net worth. Number two is not to have negative cash.
My bad. You kind of caught me while I was walking to the gym.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So sorry, I'm quiet. I was just trying to get to the gym as soon as possible.
Okay, that's cool. So you were saying, Ruth?
All right. So if you have negative cash on your balance sheet, because you can't have negative cash in the bank, the bankers would close down your accounts. If your accounts payable report, i.e. age payable reports, doesn't match aged payables on your balance sheet, something's wrong. Same with aged account receivable report has to match aged receivables on your balance sheet. If you have no rent in a month and you have to pay rent every month, or you have double rent in a month, that's wrong. If you have revenue and you don't have expenses against that revenue, then you have what I call financial statement fruit salad, and you can't know whether you're profitable or not in that case. And one other one that comes to mind, there's 10 of them, is to make sure that you're actually doing your books on an accrual basis for operations, which means a revenue it is counted as a revenue when you send out the invoice to the customer, and an expense is an expense when you physically get the invoice in the mail, whether or not you've paid the bill or received the cash. So that's a better way of looking at it, because you can tell whether your jobs are profitable, whether your projects are profitable or not.
Okay, great. So what are the key factors when doing this?
Just pay attention to your financial statements every month. And if, I don't expect any business owner to do the debits and credits that are required. They can delegate that, but they can't abdicate the responsibility for reviewing their financial statements every single month. That's key. And it's painful in the beginning if you don't know exactly what they're telling you, but you've probably done harder things. Think about it from that perspective. When you were learning your trade, or you were learning to do marketing, or you were learning to do whatever else it is, that was probably harder than learning about financial statements. It's just a little bit of terminology. And, accounting was invented back in the 1200s or 1300s by the Venetian monks, who had to take care of the rich Italians' money. So they didn't have QuickBooks. They didn't have a calculator. And you can say the Chinese had abacuses, but the Chinese were not talking to the Italians at that point. They were very distinct areas of the world. So they had to make it easy. So, we have software now that helps us. We have calculators that help us. and just learn, spend 10 or 15 minutes a day and learn it. It's not hard. It's pretty easy to do once you just spend a little time on it. And you'll wonder, why did I think this was so hard? It's not. It really and truly is not.
Okay. What do you like about doing this?
I love it when customers, business owners get the financial side of their business so that they don't go out of business. They do what's necessary. They use accurate financial statements to make great business decisions, and they build wealth. They build cash. They can do what they want at that particular point and have really good lives. Sounds like you guys are having really good lives too.
Yeah. So, what are the high and low points of your career?
Low point was when we had started a business and we had a $1.5 million contract from a customer who said that they would do it. And we had $800,000 of investment writing on that contract. And they called one day and said the contract is canceled after we had started. And so all of my life savings at that point and, all the investment and everything else, and I lost a partner that day. That was the low point. But we ended up starting up, and it was 2002, and the business is still going today. So it was really, really hard startup. I used the last $25,000 on my credit cards to make it happen. And we did it. That was the low point. Absolutely the low point. That was the toughest thing that I've ever done, was get up and dust myself off and keep going. And we did. It was really hard, but the focus was there, and we did it a day at a time.
Great. So, if you were to start up another business of your own, what would it be?
Probably a training platform that allows people to find all the business training that's around, because that's really important. Most of the stuff is going online now. Most of the training's going online, and people need a trusted place that they can go to find training on financials, to find training on sales, to find training on operations, marketing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We have a format of it called Profitability Revolution, where we have about 450 programs on all of those subjects. So, we've done it, but we can expand that.
Okay. Cool. So, do you ever travel ever so often?
Do I ever have trouble? What do you mean?
No, travel, like go
travel.
places.
Yes, I travel all the time. In the United States, the only state I haven't been in is North Dakota, and I'm on the road constantly, either training or teaching or working with business owners and helping them on the financial and the operations side of their business. I would love to come across the pond and do this too.
Okay. And when you are going across the pond, which places in particular do you want to provide this kind of training to people?
I love London. All right. London is my favorite place to go on vacation, or one of them anyway. So
Yeah.
I'd love to do class in London or thereabouts, someplace in England.
Okay, that's cool. Have you ever thought about doing it in Manchester as well?
I could do it wherever.
Okay. There's tons of potential in Manchester, as it's the second most popular city in the UK, and business is booming in all sectors.
Thank you for the tip. Check it out.
You're welcome. So, what was life for you growing up?
I grew up in a very entrepreneurial household. My dad had a business. My grandfather had a business. Both of my grandfathers had a business. My grandfather on my mother's side came over from Greece and had a Greek restaurant in the city of New York. My father's father also had a business. It wasn't in the city. It was a little bit north of the city. So entrepreneurship has been in my blood since I was a little girl, both promoted by my grandparents and my parents. And when I was little, I used to sell stuff on the side of the road. We did flowers, we did lemonade, we did, and I've always known I was going to have a business. So it wasn't a surprise to my parents when I actually started my first business at the tender age of 23. So
Okay, cool. So Asperegoose has now entered the studio. So Asperegoose, we're talking about Ruth's job as helping and develop profits for new businesses that are growing. Any questions that you want to ask Ruth?
I mean, generally, what kind of businesses do you in general help? What kind of businesses do you generally help?
I generally help them after the startup phase, because in the beginning, you don't know what you don't know. And you're not really going to pay a whole lot of attention to the financial side of business. Some of them are smart enough to get it in the beginning and start. But as a general rule, I get called in when they don't have enough cash flow to be able to pay a payroll or to pay a vendor bill, or something major happens with the client or customer that, they have 80% of their eggs in one basket, things like that. I usually don't start until somebody gets in trouble, which is really sad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of a support network.
Yeah. It's, the getting in trouble makes them open their eyes and ready to listen. I'm sure you all have heard the statement that the teacher appears when the student is ready, right?
Oh yeah, I've heard that statement before.
Yeah, so if they're not ready, they're not going to listen, and they're not going to implement. A lot of times it just, you got to get something hit between the eyes with a 2x4 or something like that in order for you to start paying attention. And then once you do, the world kind of opens up, and it's really kind of fun. I've worked with companies that, we started at about, one of them started about 750,000 in revenue. And we grew it to 10 million, and they walked out the door with $9 million in cash. That was cool. That was really cool. And then others who've done phenomenally well, growing from, 4 to over 20, and they sold their 60% of their business for, let's say, north of 10 million. How's that?
Okay.
Right.
You can do this. It's just putting the effort and energy into it, and the implementation and tracking. And I help a lot with the tracking piece of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Grinding and consistency is the key. Always has been and always will be.
You got it. That's absolutely true.
Yeah. So, what else? Oh, yes. So, which pizza topping do you most relate to?
Which pizza topping? Good question. Probably a mushroom.
Okay. Interesting choice.
Yes, because they hit their head out of the ground, and then all of a sudden they start growing phenomenally. And if they continue, we end up doing really well, and the mushrooms end up doing really well.
Oh, so just like your business.
Yep.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's all coming together. Yes, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to chop up the mushroom and put it on a pizza, but the idea is, you put the water in the ground, and all of a sudden you start popping up, and then all of a sudden the mushroom grows and blossoms and flourishes, and then you kill it by putting it on a pizza.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So, what is the best pair of shoes you own?
Best pair of shoes I own is a pair of Birkenstocks that I love because they're so comfortable. And I, walk around not, during the day or not teaching a class in them, but, on weekends and everything else along those lines, because they're just very, very comfortable shoes.
Great. Is there any place around the world you would love to stay and go on vacation or holiday?
Well, we've already talked about London being one of them. And
okay,
then I want
but
to go, other than that, the Greek islands, because of my heritage, haven't been there yet. Want to go. I want to go to Galapagos, which we're probably, assuming COVID doesn't kill it, probably going to go this year. I've been to Iceland and absolutely love it. I want to go, to drive the Autobahn in Germany, which I haven't done. A little bit in Spain, a little bit in Portugal, there's a lot of Europe that I haven't explored that I'd really like to explore.
Europe is beautiful. Like the Netherlands, like where I live right now, the Netherlands, it's so nice. It's always so sunny here in spring. And like it's so nice to ride on a bike as well because Amsterdam is the cycling capital of the world. Like for Portugal, like where I also live, I suggest you go to the south, the Algarve region, because they've got amazing beaches. Like, and the majority of a lot of people there speak English. Like it's very much a tourist state, which means that it accommodates a lot of people from other parts of the world, especially from the UK. So you're gonna get along pretty well there.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Are there good places to run? Because I also run.
Yeah, there are good places to run in the Algarve. Yes, it's a very open place. There's lots of beaches, lots of parks. It's very nice.
Cool. Look forward to getting there one day.
Yeah.
Is there a marathon there?
Yeah, I actually live there, and it is a lot of fun.
Cool. Yeah, because I do marathons a lot, and I'm looking, I want to go run the London Marathon for obvious reasons, and a couple of other places that I'd like to run marathons too. So I'd love to run a marathon there.
Oh yeah, actually, speaking of which, this weekend, actually, there is going to be a marathon just across my street, and it's just running all across Manchester. So yeah, it's like somewhere around, I think it's the 3rd of April that Greater Manchester Run is going to happen. The big marathon that goes all across the city centre and a couple of neighbouring boroughs. But yeah, that's a good place to do some running.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll have to put that on the calendar.
Cool. So what else do you have planned for this week?
I am actually heading to St. Louis to do a trade show with a group of HVAC heating and air conditioning contractors. That's what I'm planning this week. And so I'll be out of town for most of it. So I do travel a lot. And then next week I'll be working with contractors in near Boston, Massachusetts, and near Charlotte, North Carolina. So travel the next couple of weeks.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to the people listening to this right now if they ever want to start a business?
I would say, number one, get a customer and make sure it's not your mother.
Yep, you got that right. Oh man, that's a good one.
No, it's true, because you got to prove that what you have and what you have people want, and family doesn't count because they're going to do it because they love you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree. Okay, cool. Any other advice?
That's number one. Once you get a customer and have them use whatever product or service you're providing, get some testimonials from them about why they like it, and you can use it in marketing. Also, make sure that you price everything correctly, properly, so that you are that you're really making a profit in dollars on the bottom line, so that you take into consideration both the cost of the products and services, but also the little bit of overhead that you have to pay, so that you actually net a profit.
Okay. Is that it? Or
that's it. That's how you start. That's literally how you start. It's like, get a customer, make sure the customer is happy. Why did they say yes? Or get 5 customers. You know what I'm saying? And just get a few and find out, why they really like what you are providing, and then use them as testimonials. Then you can put it into your marketing pieces and find additional customers who are like them, and you can grow it relatively rapidly like that. So customer, testimonials, marketing to find more customers like them, and always making sure that your pricing is right.
Yep, simple and straightforward. I love it.
Oh, absolutely. There's no magic to this. It's just understanding a few little things about pricing and putting together the testimonials and going for it.
Yeah. What was the most beautiful place you've been to?
Oh my gosh. That's not fair. I have been to so many beautiful places.
I mean, name as many beautiful places you like.
There's a place called Woodall Shoals, which nobody knows about. which is about 120 miles from my house, which is the class 5 rapids on the Chattooga River. And that is my favorite place on earth in terms of beauty, serenity, peacefulness, and watching the rapids. So that's number one. Number two is Machu Picchu. Oh my gosh, the pictures don't do that place justice at all. You really and truly have to experience that. Number three would be Lopez Island in the San Juan Islands at the border of Canada and Washington. That would be three. Four would probably be Venice. I loved Venice. How's that for the top four?
Yep, those are really good. Those are really good choices. The first one, especially, I can actually picture the rapids right now.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah. It is phenomenally gorgeous. My husband introduced me to that place, and I have just loved it ever since.
Yeah, I remember most beautiful places I've been to. Just like there's many places in Brazil I go every summer. There's Center Park, which is like basically it's a park, yeah, but it's also kind of like a wildlife reserve kind of thing, but also mixed in with a bit of modern identities. Like there's like an indoor pool, loads of shops, and lots of outdoor activities to go to. And it's like further up north where I'm from, like somewhere in the Cumbria region, or maybe somewhere down south from the Cumbria region. But yeah, those are really good places for me to go, and I've always loved it ever since.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can tell I like to travel. It sounds like you do too.
Yep. I love going on many places, especially after I moved into my new house back in 2012. And it was the first year that we didn't go to Brazil. And when I saw the weather in the UK in the summer, I was like, is it always like that every summer? And my dad said, yep, it's always like that every summer. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I forgot Iceland. Sorry.
No, I think you did mention Iceland at some point.
Did I? Okay.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Yes. Those were the days.
Yep, absolutely. Travel's fun.
Yeah.
But the interesting part about it is if you do your business right and you have the profitability and you have the cash flow, you can take off and do all the travel you want to do. And that's the keys. If you want to travel and you like travel, what does your business have to do to support your travel habits? Mm-hmm. Figure it out. It's easy.
Yeah, it's that simple, really.
Mm-hmm.
So, who was the last person you talked to?
Last person I talked to before you was probably my assistant. She and I are leaving for St. Louis, and she said I forgot something on my desk, and that was when I was running this morning. So,
okay, interesting.
Yeah.
What was the funniest moment you've ever experienced?
The funniest moment? Oh my gosh, probably the funniest moment watching my father give a talk. And he had a very, very dry sense of humor, and just laughing my head off when he did that. That was funny. So that was probably it. Yeah. But there have been laughing times throughout over the years and everything else like that. But he was pretty cool.
Yeah. Do you like spicy food?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do like spicy food. Especially Mexican spicy food.
Oh, yes.
I remember curry, like the Indian curry, like it was so spicy. I remember I went to like London, I think it was like 3 years ago, and I had some curry at a restaurant. Oh my, that was so spicy. I was actually sweating. It was.
Were you really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So but I love spicy food. Spicy food is really good. As you said, you can sweat from it. You can absolutely sweat from it. And I don't know whether that's the thrill of it or not, but I really like it.
Yeah, me too. I crave for spicy food. It doesn't matter if it kills me. I've dealt with spicier food before. Like, I can handle it. Literally, I can handle it. But yeah, it just feels good at times for me.
Okay. I don't get to eat it all the time, but when I do, it's really cool. It's really good, and I enjoy it.
Yeah. What's the best thing you've bought off Amazon?
The best thing that I've bought on Amazon are probably all of the books that I read on Kindle. And my Kindle library is huge. So I'm an avid reader. And so that's probably what I buy the most on Amazon too, is all the books and the things that can help me, business wise, help the people I work with business wise. If I find a book that's good for everybody, then I'll share it with the entire, universe that I work with. And that's probably the best things that I buy on Amazon.
Okay.
You want my favorite book right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's called Winning by Tim Grover.
Wow.
And Tim was the coach for Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and a lot of business owners. And he has a no nonsense, no playing around, no games way of looking at winning. It's cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to take a look at that. It's a very good book.
That's number one. Number two would be Bold by Peter Diamandis. And he looks at the world, from a futuristic and an abundant standpoint, and making sure that you're willing to, quote unquote, raise your hand to take part in it and help promote it. And it's also a very, very good book.
Okay, great. And that is all we have for this episode. It was great having you here, Ruth, talking about your business in helping and grow people's profits, get people starting up with their business, and talking about various travel experiences. That was bueno.
That was fun.
Yeah. And until next time, stay tuned for more.